to the next industry presentation by Professor Dr. L.S. Ganesh, Vice Chancellor, the ICFAI Foundation for Higher Education. Can we welcome Sir on stage with a big round of applause, please?
Namaste, good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm happy to have listened to the panel discussion. In fact, there are a couple of points on which I will build on, which is what I had planned in mind. The topic that has been shared with me is the theme of this very meeting, transforming education, empowering learners through technology. But before I go into the topic, I wanted to share a simple truth that the education system has to recognize, and all the students and teachers have to recognize. If we consider the way reporting is done nationally in terms of the results of initiatives and efforts to accomplish the Sustainable Development Goals, especially after 2015, you will find that all the countries are showing positive results. They may not be close to the goals, they may be further away, but they've definitely improved on the criteria that have been specified with respect to the goals. So in terms of that result of all the countries reporting positive results, well, we've done well. But the bitter truth is the planet is losing. And there is too much of compelling evidence for what I'm saying. I don't think it's even debated now. There is far too much evidence that the planet is losing. So what is this crazy paradox of individual countries and nations winning and the planet losing? Now, this phenomenon is actually a systemic phenomenon. This paradox is a systemic phenomenon because what's true, you cannot extend what's true of the parts to the whole system. It's sheer foolishness to do that kind of an extrapolation. Okay? I even have my favorite example. Arguably, the best team in the IPL on paper was Royal Challengers Bangalore. But when it came to the real act of winning the IPL, they were a little further away. So, data and knowledge that I have the best members of a team does not guarantee that I have the best team. This is something all of us have to ponder about. But when it comes to empowering learners through technology, I was very happy that Mr. Yogesh of Masai mentioned that we have to shift our focus to skills. Correct? Correct, but incomplete. Let me tell you why. Given my background in education, incidentally, I am from IIT Madras. Given my background in education, I find very little focus in the system over several years on character. There is a hell of a lot of focus on competence building. Competence is a combination of knowledge and skills. Okay? And of course, as Mr. Yogesh said, skills perhaps we should focus on. But the second outcome of education is character, which some philosophers define as meta-competence. The competence to use competence. But where are we? And I would observe, and I hope I'm very wrong in my observation, I really hope I'm wrong, that we have a crisis of character all across the world. And there are some articles coming out in several well-reputed publications across the world that it's not just a crisis of character, there's a crisis of leadership character. No, and that's poison with a capital P, actually. But what do we do about it? Now, that's a different point, because that takes us away from this theme. But I thought I will have to make that point here, that we have to really focus in our education systems on both competence development and character development. Both are important. And character, as we all know, consists of a combination of values, belief systems, revealed behavior, habits, and so on. The whole combination is character. And it has to be demonstrated. No point in talking about character without demonstrating it. I'm very happy that Mr. Ashwin talked of compassion. Compassion, as we can see easily, is a component of character. But how many people can really demonstrate compassion when push comes to shove? It's for us to answer, because that's another C, conscience. Are you working with a conscience? Anyway, I'll come to this now. As far as empowering learners through technology goes, and focusing on the skills part, empowerment as a concept involves 4 building blocks. There is a context of empowerment, there are conditions of empowerment, and then, of course, we have competence to be demonstrated to show, to actually give evidence that somebody is empowered. And more importantly, the person who gives that evidence has to show confidence. Then you say empowerment has happened. Now, you can have a very competent and confident person, but the person is not given context and conditions. Person is not empowered. Person has competence, person has confidence. The other is also true. There are people who are given conditions and competence. There are many examples. I don't wish to name examples. I'm sure you can easily imagine examples. People are given conditions and the context, but they don't demonstrate competence and confidence. That's also not empowered. So, from the point of view of education, and from the point of view of what we have to do with students, I can share with you something interesting of what we are attempting. At least early results are definitely interesting and encouraging. I'm trying to bring in colleagues in the institution to give daily 5-minute quizzes for 1 or 2 marks. And there are ways in which it can be done without, by the way, I'm very much against multiple choice questions. I'm dead against MCQs for a simple reason, because somebody who doesn't know anything theoretically can have maximum marks. Theoretically. It may not happen, that's a different point. But we all know how students play tricks. They can tick all B's or all D's or all C's, and then some of them will score, they know that. And therefore, even without knowing the answer, the fellow will be getting a mark, or that mark. So this is a challenge for us. But there are ways in which we can do this 5-minute quiz daily at the end of the class, or ideally at the beginning of the class, for a simple reason, because it can alter the character of the student, because obviously grades and CGPA do drive students' behavior. I hope that need not be debated. Okay? So if grades and CGPA do drive student behavior, then this works. Now, simple system. You have a course, you have 100 marks in the course. And if you follow the credit system, obviously we all know 1 hour of classroom per week over a term is 1 credit. A term may be 10, 11 weeks or 14, 15 weeks, depending on what you want to do, basically. Okay? Because we have other institutions where a term is 6 weeks. In Hyderabad, actually. Okay? So I'm not even coming to that. So if we use that, I'll take my institution. You have about 45 hours. So you can actually have marks, 90 marks, 2 marks per class. Per class. 1 or 2 marks, whatever. So maximum is 45. You give that as a bonus to the student. The beauty is when you do that, attendance is already taken care of. You don't need to take separate attendance, because the student has to answer. And interestingly, the entire answer thing, today we have technology to come in and showcase the answers and the frequency distribution of the answers. You know whether they are right or wrong. That technology is already there. By the way, we did this experiment, and I wish all of us could see the energy in the class. Enthusiasm was to be felt. Students wanted to participate and give this, give their answers, because they were competing real time. This is point number 1. How do you test students daily? Take care of attendance and hopefully take care of attention also. Because there's no point in a student being physically present and mentally absent. It makes no sense to the teacher. Second is, as a teacher, I've always given open notes, open book, open internet, even discuss with your friends and give the answer. The only condition I put is, if you have discussed with somebody else, please give the citation. Whom did you discuss with? What did you discuss? Exactly like what we do in research papers. And it has worked. It has really worked. And students have come and consistently told me, LSG, sir, we really feel tested this way. And what I'm trying to do is replicate the real world. When I'm in the job, when I'm on the job, I have access to all the learning resources. That's the reality. I have access to my friends in the industry. That's the reality. So I may not know an answer on the spot, but I may call my friend and say, hey, can you help me with this answer? You know, and I might actually get the answer. Together, I think everybody achieves more. So these are two ways we can actually use technology, including internet. And I think there are ways in which teachers should also weave around things like ChatGPT, etc. We shouldn't get unduly worried about ChatGPT, etc. Because I'm sure in Tamil there is a saying, I'll translate it for you. It's called Pambin Kal Pambu Ariyum. It means the snake knows the ways of the snake, you know. So I'm sure teachers are equally smart and can easily locate what's happening, you know. So these two tricks involving technology, I think, will lead to competence and confidence. Context and conditions have to be given by industry. But thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you so much, sir. I would request Ms. Aarti Dwivedi to please come forward and present the memento to sir. Can we give both of them a big round of applause, please?